It's Media Day 2019 for the Colorado basketball programs. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Pina Tuatele joining us, sophomore for the women's team. Excited about 2019, 2020. How was your offseason? You stayed here the whole time, you're telling me.
Yeah, I stayed. I talked to my parents. I said I really need to craft and work on my game and get in really good shape because I struggled with that last year. So it was really nice. I really got to get the community feel of Boulder and get to know around Boulder and work on my game, craft it to perfection. But it's not gonna be perfect. It's just how I do it.
Last year, your freshman season, I think was for the first 6, 7, 8, 9 ball games just so you came off the bench. Then you started the rest of the season. What do you think you learned about basketball at this level that you can take into your sophomore year?
The speed, adjusting to it, because it was all new to me. I was slow in the very beginning. I'm like, whoa, these posts are way faster than I played in high school. So speed and strength, I really learned to focus on that, and that's why I stayed in the summer to work on my speed, because I wasn't the fastest, and I wasn't the strongest. So that's why I wanted to craft those the most and work on it the most.
So as a sophomore, do you take more responsibility upon yourself this year?
Yes, I do, because I know the framework that Coach Jay has. I know the plays from last year, and I know the expectation she has. So for the freshmen, I want them to be comfortable and flow into it how I did. So I just want them to feel as comfortable like I did last year, like I said.
What gets you excited about this team? I mean, you look at it, we got so used to seeing Kennedy and Alexis out there. Somebody who was just mainstay for 4 years. Now they're gone, a little bit younger team. What makes you excited about this group?
Like Coach Jay said at Pac-12 Media Day, I'm excited for who we are as a team. We're very young, and that shouldn't be an excuse, but the energy we have, the community feeling that we have with one another, it's one unit. There's not cliques or anything. We all vibe with each other. We hang out without being told to hang out. So I'm really excited for who we are this year as a ball club.
All right, well, good luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, that's sophomore Pina Tuatele joining us. It's Media Day for the Colorado Buffaloes. Right now we'll send it to the podium, and we'll hear from head coach JR Payne.
Everybody to the women's portion of the Colorado Basketball Media Day. We will start with an opening statement from Coach Payne, and then we have microphones on each side for your questions.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Something that I tell people outside of Colorado is one of the things I love most about Boulder is that we have such incredible seasons here. And obviously, my favorite season is basketball season, which is now upon us. So I'm excited to be here. We're just love our team this year. We have a really remarkable group of young women who've had a great off season. From last season to this season, we've worked incredibly hard. We've gained weight where we needed to, we've lost weight where we needed to, and we've just have made the most, of our off season. We had a bunch of players that stayed here the entire summer to continue training and kind of sacrifice sort of their summers to make huge improvements that they needed to make. And we had a great summer where we really grew in our relationships with each other, our communication. Those were a couple of areas of focus for us. And our team's just ready to go. We're fired up. We've got a good preseason schedule and obviously a great Pac-12 schedule. And we're excited that season is here.
You mentioned loving your team.
Yeah.
How big of a key is chemistry for you guys when you're trying to climb in a conference that's maybe the best in the country?
Sure.
How big is chemistry for you guys to try to climb and make those steps?
Yeah, Kim, I always say anybody can walk in the room and see a really talented player on the court. It's not difficult to spot that. What is a little bit more difficult is to figure out who's a great teammate, who's going to be a great worker, who's going to be selfless, all of those things. And so chemistry is huge. I've coached really talented teams that were not as successful as maybe the lesser talented teams that did have great chemistry. And we're in a place right now where I see things happening in practice yesterday, in fact. Players that are coaching each other up on the sidelines and really competing with each other, but when somebody gets them, on a play or whatever, they're high-fiving them. That was nice, But that sort of competitive dialogue that's happening in our team right now is really good.
JR, in terms of competing in the Pac-12, obviously that's been a tough road for you so far.
Sure.
Are you personally feeling kind of any more pressure to start climbing those standings a little bit?
Well, I mean, always. I don't feel any external pressure from anyone, to climb, but there's no one that puts any more pressure on themselves than I do. for myself, for our team, but I really do feel like we have a great opportunity ahead of us based on our personnel, the number of returners, the cohesiveness of our team, and then just the fact that we have way more veterans than we've had. Last year we didn't have as many returners. We had some really key players that had played major minutes, for several years, but we have the core group of our team back, and we're excited about that.
This is year 4 for you.
Yeah.
Has the process been slower than you thought it was going to be when you first got hired?
Sure. Slower than I wanted it to be, certainly, but not if I came in with a realistic expectation and a realistic understanding of what it takes to build and grow a program properly, then no, it hasn't taken any longer. But certainly I wish that we could, have been sitting here talking about, the last 3 years we've been to the NCAA tournament and things like that. Of course, any coach would say the same. But I've been very, very patient and diligent in bringing in the right type of people that will be successful on the basketball court here as well as in our community and in the classroom. And I think that's why I can sit here and say how much I love my team right now.
I don't know if you would call it a cultural shift, but you talked about the 2 players that
Yeah.
graduated,
Yeah.
in Kennedy Leonard and Alexis Robinson.
Yeah.
Hard to replace players like that.
Sure.
How different is this team going to look this year without those 2 and
Yeah.
new leaders emerging?
Yeah. Well, Ken and Lex were incredible players. I mean, their names are littered, through the record books, and they're both doing really fantastic things right now in their lives. So we're really proud of that. The difference in this year's team is that there's just going to be a lot more balance. When Ken went out, right at the beginning of Pac-12 play, we lost our leading scorer, our leading steals, our leading assists. There was so much that was sort of wrapped up in that that it was really difficult to replace that, at the snap of the fingers. And so we're at a place now where, we have a handful of players that have scored 20 points in a game that are capable of scoring like that. And I feel like our balance is going to be, if our point production could be 12 points, 11 points, 9, 9, 7, 7, I would rather have that than 25 points a game and then drop down to 6 a game. It's easier to coach, it's harder to guard, and I think overall will lead to a successful season.
So as you guys were going through that last year,
Yeah.
we talked about there were maybe benefits that would show up this year.
Sure.
Are you seeing some of those things? I know there was some inconsistency with people
Yeah.
last year as they
Yeah.
tried to fill those roles, but are you seeing those benefits now? I know you haven't started games, but
Yeah.
as they've gone through preseason practice.
Yeah, definitely. People had to step up and play minutes that they probably weren't expected and shouldn't have been expected to play last year based on the numerous injuries that we had. But I'm always, the cup is always half full for me, so I chose to be positive about that and was thankful that those young kids had opportunities to play, and we are seeing the benefit of that right now. Sela's probably the biggest one, that was thrust into a role she was not necessarily prepared for. And I remember telling her, I know it's not fair what we're doing to you, but it is what it is. So, make the best of it. And she did that. And we're seeing leadership from her on the court. She's more vocal. She's more aggressive. She's doing things that I don't believe we would see at this point had she not been in that role. And so a lot of different people are stepping up in leadership roles, and we're really enjoying that.
Kai got some time down the stretch last year,
Yeah.
and you add Charlotte to the mix this year.
Yeah.
Talk about the size that you guys are going to have at that 5 spot, and the development that you've seen there.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Kai missed the entire summer here. She was the one player that was not here this summer based on some things that she just needed to be home for. But the strides that she's actually made in the last couple of weeks, she comes in to watch film almost every day, and she's kind of like making up for lost time, I would say, in the last month, and has really grown. She had the best practice of the year a week or so ago, and she was blocking shots, and she won the one-on-one competition that we did, and she's really growing and making up for that. But we're much bigger right now. We moved Annika Jank to the wing, so we not only have put some bigger bodies inside, we also have put some bigger bodies outside on the perimeter. I think that'll help our rebounding effort. I think we're just a bigger ball club. We're going to be able to do more from a defensive standpoint, from a rebounding standpoint, and it's going to be a different look.
So far in practice, is there anybody who's really stepped up and surprised you?
Not really surprised, I wouldn't say, because I see them every day. I think if you were to come into my practice, you would be surprised by Emma Clark. She had an incredible off season. She chose to stay here instead of going home to Australia, so she kind of forewent her summer. But she's leaned out. She's gotten stronger. She's extremely confident right now. She's someone that we're going to rely on. She's probably our best shooter right now. Someone that we're going to rely on to score the basketball. She's sped up her feet, with the help of our strength coach, so she's much better laterally. She's defending. In fact, we were laughing yesterday because one of our freshmen was struggling with something defensively, and I said, Emma, come over here. And I used her as the demonstration. And then after the demo, Emma and I looked at each other and went, who would have thought, that we'd be asking you to do that. So she's just really improved dramatically. But a lot of people actually have. Emma just is probably one I think you would be surprised with.
So I know you guys are going to be more kind of post-dominated than guard-heavy like you
Yeah,
have been.
mhm.
But can
Yeah.
you talk about the point guard position and what that's going to look like this
Yeah.
year?
Well, we have two really good point guards. They're both really young, and Sela Finau, who filled in for Kennedy last year when she got hurt. And then we have a really good freshman point guard in Jalen Sherrod. They're both very different. Jalen brings a level of athleticism, like just pure raw athleticism that we have not had here, at least in my time. She's blazing fast. She's one of the strongest kids in the weight room. She jumps, she defends. She loves to pressure the basketball. She can get to the basket. Sela right now is just a little bit more seasoned. She's played in games. She's been through, an entire year's worth of practices over Jalen. But they're both going to play. They're both going to bring different things to the table. They can go in transition. Sela's a little bit longer, but Jalen's a little bit quicker. So, so they both really bring a lot to the table. And I'm excited about both of them. Yeah.
Preseason polls are just preseason. No one knows
Sure.
exactly. But the last week conference picked you guys 12th. How much
Yeah.
is that a motivator for you and the team
Yeah.
to prove the conference and the voters wrong?
Yeah, it's a huge motivator. I came back and we talked about it on the stretching circle the very next day with our team, and I told them, I said, it just is what it is. That's people don't know a lot about you guys. Our team was so dominated by our two seniors last year, and then the storyline became, well, those guys are injured, so now what? So I said, people just don't know a lot about you, but that doesn't mean anything other than every day you have an opportunity to prove to people what you're capable of being, to prove to people who you are as an individual, as a teammate. And so it's definitely a big motivator for us this year.
So Kuness is the one player that's been here
Yeah.
since you got here.
Yeah.
And she's kind of gotten better every year.
Certainly.
Done what you expect a college player
Yeah.
to do. So how have you seen her progress? And her being the only senior, what
Yeah.
type of role is she taking on this year?
Yes, Q is definitely, as our only senior and just as someone that's worked incredibly hard, is definitely an important leader on our ball club. I told Q a couple weeks ago that we actually talk about her when we talk to recruits about player development and what it takes to be a college athlete, to be successful. It takes an incredible amount of hard work, of discipline, of just internal desire to be better and get better. And Q is the epitome of that. She's worked hard. When she got here, her only real role on the team was to be a good defender. We knew that was something she was capable of doing. She liked to defend, and she bought into that role, and she was our best defender, her freshman and sophomore years. And last year, she was probably our most consistent scorer on the team as far as just being pretty steady Eddie. And she's going to be great for us this year. I mean, she's going to play the 2 and the 3, and at times she may need to fill in at the 1, and she'll be a great defender for us, and she'll give us a sense of calm when things get a little up and down, as they will, with such a young ball club. And Q is extremely important to our success. Yeah.
We know what the Pac-12 looks like. I mean, preseason-wise, Oregon could be the #1 team in the nation,
Yep.
essentially, and it doesn't drop off much from there. The
No.
top 6 or 7. Your non-conference schedule, though, is no cakewalk. You've got Big Ten, Wisconsin coming in. I know they're not
Yep.
great, but it is a Big Ten team.
Yep.
You're going to New Orleans to play in a holiday tournament, and
Yeah.
you go to Fort Collins and you go to Laramie. I
Yep.
mean, that's a tough. Is that the kind of schedule you need to get you ready for the Pac-12?
Yeah, I think it's a great combination. You try to build your preseason schedule with different looks, different types of teams that you might face later in the year, and I feel like we have a very good schedule. We're excited to have. We're playing two of the in-state schools in Denver and Colorado State, and CSU had several Division I transfers sitting out last year who will be ready to play this year. Laramie is one of the toughest places in the country to play, and the only place where we might not have an elevation advantage. And Wisconsin, I think, went to the semifinals of their conference tournament last year, so also a really strong team. But we're just excited to continue to get better, and the preseason schedule will help us do that and get our young kids experience and get us ready for Pac-12.